Have wondered about your first job that you ever had when you started work?
No.
I hope you forget it.
Nobody remembers it?
I remember mine.
All right, well, here's a little thing called my first job.
Oh, okay.
Now, you have to be kind of swift on this because there are catch lines to it. So this is called my first job. My first job was working in an orange juice factory, but I got canned. Concentrate.
Oh. Got it.
You're catching on.
I got it.
Custom mustard. My best job was a musician, but eventually found I wasn't noteworthy.
Oh.
I studied a long time to become a doctor, but didn't have any patience.
Oh.
That's a better one. Next was a job in a shoe factory. Tried hard, but just didn't fit in. I became a professional fisherman, but discovered I couldn't live on my net income. Managed to get a good job working for a pool maintenance company, but the work was just too draining. So then I got a job in a workout.
No one else has got the job.
Anyway, take another number.
Take another number.
John.
We gave it to
Oh,
John.
it was John?
But I mean, no one else had
It was
it.
John.
He couldn't find his ticket.
Oh.
It had to be John.
The only person. Okay.
Right, it had to be John.
Right.
661-241.
We
Did
knew
you
it.
find it in the cupboard? Oh,
That's all
I
right.
thought you put it in the cupboard.
We knew it was you, John. It had to be
The
you.
only club I know of, they got to fight to give money away. Okay, thank you. You're welcome. And our attendance is
17.
17 people, which is not bad. We did have a good group last week, which was kind of nice. Okay, unless there is some, is there any new business?
We went through it.
We went through that. At this time, I would like Warren Crandall to present our speaker for the day. Oh, unless we want to, anybody want to sing?
Oh, yes.
That's
Do
okay.
you? Oh, all right.
That's it.
No, I mean, he's a good fellow. I mean,
Let's hear the
no,
speaker.
We'll do more songs and keep you with the
he's a
tradition.
good, you know. Oh my God, I can't remember the word. Yes. Good job.
Sir, that's my baby. No, sir, don't be baby. Yes, sir, that's my baby now. Yes, man, we decided. No, man, we won't hide it. Yes,
Thank you,
man,
Jack.
you're invited now. By the way, when we reach the preacher, I'll
Thank you.
say, yes, sir, that's my baby. No, sir, don't mean baby. Yes, sir, that's my baby now.
Water.
That's,
I like water.
Okay?
Much better.
Okay. I don't want to put anybody to sleep. Okay, this is a little bit of information about our guest speaker today. Ed McCain has been a leader for decades and the experience of a financial advisor. He's a managing partner of JMS Capital Management Incorporated. It's a firm that is specializing in investment management for the present investor. He's a native of Rochester, and he holds an MBA from Bethlehem College, and also a BS in finance from the Saunders College of Business at RIT. One of his passions was protecting people from investment scams, and he's done a lot of things on investment scams. He's got pages and pages of stuff here to show you, and I started counting some of the things, all the different kinds of scams that are out there, and it's unbelievable the number of scams that are out there. The scams are watching us every minute, studying what we do, and knowing everything about it. Anyone is in depth on it. It's quite fascinating. Anyway, at this point, yes, Mark. lot of work, I'll tell you. It's amazing.
didn't say anything yet.
A lot of research on it. Thank you. Thanks so good for you, okay? I'll take it for a photo right here, okay? That's got some keys here too.
That's his resume.
Good morning, and nice to be back here again. Instead of a PowerPoint this time, I brought a handout for everyone. I'm supposed to be done by 2, right?
Two.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
That'd be fine.
I can go back by the speaker. Here you go.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Investment scheme for buildings. Thanks. Ed. John. Thank you.
Look like I knew they got it.
Thank you. Yep, there's one more extra.
What we have in the handout here, we talk about, there's 3 different things. One is some of these different investment scams that are out there. And I can't keep up with all of the scams because they just keep coming up with new ones all the time. In fact, this wasn't part of my presentation from last week because I just found it this week. I don't know if anybody has heard these ads. Americans can now legally piggyback on Canadian Social Security. Has anyone heard ads for this?
No.
Sort of heard it, yeah.
The way it works is that you never have to live, work, or even visit Canada, and you can get an extra $400 to $4,700 a month. How many believe this is real?
Yeah, right. No.
It's not. It's not. But scams are really a big problem in this country. The Federal Trade Commission did a study recently, and as best they could figure, about 13.5% of the adult population is scammed. Wow. Every year. But it's really hard to come by accurate numbers. AARP did a study where they went to police records, and they found 723 people who had reported scams. And then they did a survey, and of these 723 people who were known scam victims, they said to them, have you ever been scammed? And 60% said, me? No, not me. So it's really hard to know how many people are being scammed every year, but it's really a big, big number. Now, a lot of scams have to do with Ponzi schemes. When we talk about Ponzi schemes, you can't help but talk about Bernie Madoff. Though he didn't invent the Ponzi scheme. In fact, Charles Ponzi was named after back in the 1920s. He didn't invent the Ponzi scheme either. It actually goes back to the mid-1800s as far as I can tell. And a Ponzi scheme is actually a very simple operation. You take the money from new investors and you use that not to invest, but to pay off old investors.
Sounds like Social Security.
Yes, exactly. Social Security is probably the biggest Ponzi scheme out there. Oh, and by the way, if anybody has any questions or comments or anything along the way, don't hesitate to jump in so you can have a dialogue instead of a monologue. But with a Ponzi scheme, you need just 3 things. One is you need what appears to be an attractive rate of return, and that can be relative, an attractive rate of return. Bernie Madoff was offering people 10, 12% a year, which actually is pretty good. Though I have seen Ponzi schemes offering people 10% a month or more. And then you need a story about how you're getting this incredible return. And here's just one example, because every Ponzi has its own story. Here, New York City man nabbed for Ponzi scheme. And his story is very simple. He would buy closeout merchandise for pennies on the dollar, and then he would sell it to TJ Maxx for dimes on the dollar, and then they'd sell it in their stores still at a huge discount. So that made it kind of believable. You'd buy it really cheap, flip it, make a huge profit. There was no merchandise. There was no TJ Maxx involved here. And you also need, for a Ponzi scheme, people that are just too trusting, that they're going to believe that you can really get them unreasonable rate of return, that's all you really need to do a Ponzi scheme. And there are still Ponzi's going on all the time. This was just a story a couple months ago from Syracuse. It was a $19 million Ponzi scheme. And among the victims was $250,000 from the husband of the Onondaga County executive. Sure, that was a pleasant discussion they had when that came to light. There was Tim Green, a former NFL player, business executives, county legislators, Syracuse City Court judge, on and on. A very prominent and intelligent people who all fell for this Ponzi scheme and are out $19 million. About that same time, there was another Ponzi scheme also in Syracuse. No, I'm sure we have our share here. This was Will Allen, who was a former NFL player. And he got $31 million. And the way he did it, again, you need a good story. And his story was, we make loans to professional athletes. And in this case, he had a hockey player who was making $10 million a year. First year, he got his $10 million. He spent $10 million. Okay, except he forgot about taxes. So he was short $5 million. So they were going to loan him $5 million because he had a guaranteed $10 million coming in next year. No cut contract. Even if he never spent a minute on the ice, he was still getting his $10 million. People are going to get 20% interest for loaning this hockey player money for just 1 year. There was no hockey player. There was no loan. It was all just a scam. So, again, whenever anyone offers you something where the rate of return, it just sounds too good, and the story just sounds too fishy, pass. They're just, Ponzi's didn't stop with Bernie Madoff, and they're still alive and well today, and probably number one among the schemes today are Ponzi schemes. And most of these investment schemes are aimed at senior citizens. And there's two reasons for that. Somebody who's 25 years old doesn't have any money. Still trying to pay off student loans, so you can't scam somebody who doesn't have any money. And then also the reality is that as some people get older, they start having cognitive impairment issues, and these wild stories all of a sudden don't seem so wild. They become more believable. Along with Ponzi's, there's also scams with what's called promissory notes or loans. And again, it's a very simple idea. You're loaning money to someone or something, and then you get all sorts of guarantees, and you're going to get your money back in a year with interest. I wouldn't get involved in any of these loan deals. If somebody was really all that credit worthy, why couldn't they just go to a bank and borrow money at 5 or 6% instead of borrowing money from you at 20 or 30 or 40%? So just be very careful if anyone offers you any kind of loans. A lot of scams have to do with what's called an affinity group. Anyone know what an affinity group is? Well, this is an affinity group. It's where everybody's all in something together. West Palm Beach Country Club, where Bernie Madoff was a member, where the initiation fee was $350,000. That was an affinity group. And by the time Bernie was finished, 35% of the people in the club had all given Bernie money to invest. When you're in a group with someone, you tend to lower your guard, you tend to have a lower standard of what's really acceptable or not. And just because you know someone or the same church, same club, same whatever, you have to be very careful and not have your same level of due diligence going. Has anyone heard of a prime bank? These are the banks where the 1% bank. These are the banks that pay the extra super high rate of interest because the super wealthy deserve a higher rate of interest. These banks all tend to be in places like the Cayman Islands or Italy or somewhere offshore. And the scheme goes, we're going to pool together everyone's money to get enough to meet the minimum of these prime banks so somebody approaches you to put money into a prime bank, it's probably a prime scam. There are no banks paying super high rates of interest for super large deposits. There used to be, and maybe there's still some around today, where they had jumbo CDs, where if you put in a larger amount, you get a larger rate of interest. But banks today don't pay much of anything to anyone, regardless of how much you put in. Now, annuities by themselves are not necessarily bad, but annuities can be used for scams for a couple reasons. Number one is that they're very confusing to understand. Every company has their own rules on annuities. Even within a company, they may have rules 6 months ago that were different than the rules today. There's a lot of guarantees on annuities that you have to die to collect the guarantee. Also, annuities can pay very high commissions to the people who are selling the annuities, which sometimes gives somebody less objectivity when they're advising somebody what to do with their money. Also, one thing that always makes me cringe is when I see an annuity within an IRA, because the main advantage of an annuity is that it's tax deferred. Well, an IRA is tax deferred, so when you're taking a tax deferred, putting it within tax deferred, you're giving up the main advantage there. Also, if someone offers you an annuity from another state, from Pennsylvania or Florida or somewhere other than New York, where you're no longer protected by the New York Insurance Department, you don't want to pretend that you went to Pennsylvania to sign an annuity contract. Not a good idea at all. Now, when we talk about rare coins, I know we have a couple of coin experts in the room here. How many other coin experts do we have? I know Greg, Jerry, but coins are not something you want to invest in for a whole bunch of reasons. Even if you are an expert, you probably don't want to spend a lot of your money investing in coins. And coin scams can be big, they can be small. Here's a small scam. This was just in the Democrat and Chronicle a couple weeks ago. New York residents snap up U.S. state silver bars. And it's a 1-ounce silver bar. It has an outline of New York State on it. And New York State residents only can buy these for $57, which is almost 4 times